If you've ever ended a year feeling unsure about what's actually working in your Etsy shop, what's making you money, what's quietly draining it, and where to focus your energy going into the new year, this video is going to give you the clarity that you've been missing. Hi, I'm Carol, Etsy vintage shop owner of V Vintage Collectibles. This video isn't just a what sold for me recap. This is a roadmap for understanding your shop's most profitable categories so that you can stop guessing and start making decisions that actually move the needle. I'm breaking down the 5 categories that carried my shop in 2025 based on information from my own Excel inventory sheets. I'm also going to show you how to identify your top performers using the CSV file you can download from Etsy at any time. And if you've ever struggled with underpricing or not knowing what's truly worth sourcing, your gross margin pricing guides, the one available in my Etsy shop, is going to make so much more sense after today because we're connecting the dots between pricing, profit, and category performance. I'm sharing a tool that can tie it all together for you. It's a new digital product available in my Etsy shop for vintage sellers. It is a year-long planner, workflow, guidebook, everything you need to run a successful Etsy business. By the time we're done with this video today, you will know how to source with confidence, avoid the low margin traps that hold many sellers back, and spot the categories in your shop that are quietly doing the heavy lifting. I gotta say, I was surprised once I put the numbers together for my shop, but I'll save that. This is the kind of clarity that can change how you source, how you price, and how you grow your vintage business starting today. All right, with that in mind, let's talk about why this kind of year-end category analysis matters, and then we will jump straight into the numbers and the demonstration with the file. Every vintage shop has a few quiet categories that carry throughout the year. Sometimes you know exactly what they are, and sometimes you don't really see the pattern until you sit down and look at the data. Doing this kind of quick review helps you keep less money tied up in slow-moving inventory and frees up funds to source better pieces and get a clearer picture of what your ideal inventory actually looks like going into the new year. Now, my top categories won't match everyone's, but the patterns absolutely will. And just so you have a sense of how I track things on my end, here's a quick look at the category list that I've been using. It's not perfect, and sometimes it definitely, there are blurred lines, but it works well enough for this kind of an analysis. Now, they don't make it easy to find this report, so watch closely. You go to your dashboard, you click on settings, then you click on options, then you go to download data, download orders. This is what we want here, is orders, not sale listings. So I want a CSV. I want it for, I'm not even going to put in a month. I am just going to put in the whole year. And then click download CSV. They will then email it to you. So let's skip to what that file looks like once you get it emailed to you and opened up. I know this is a bit overwhelming. The first thing you're probably wondering is, why are all of those number signs there instead of what's supposed to be there? You just have to make the column wider and it will show up, whatever it is, you know. So that said, the thing we really want to focus on in this demonstration, and you can sort all of these columns any way you want to sort them, but the first thing we're going to look at, actually the only thing in this demonstration, is just the title of this item here. So I'm going to just cut away really quickly. I'm going to get rid of all these other columns. I'm actually going to save them to a second page so that they're not gone anywhere in case I want to sort other things, but we're interested in finding categories. So we are going to get rid of everything besides just the title here. Okay, and you can see 11/29 is the last date that shows. I downloaded this file on 11/29. I know I've had sales since then, but for the purpose of this demonstration, you can see these dates do go all the way back to, January. And what I would have to do if I were using this CSV file to find my categories is simply add a row, and for each item you're going to say, okay, this is a butter dish, and this is Christmas. The next one is crystal. I can't even spell it. Crystal. And the next one is stemware. The next one is wedding. This could take a while. Now you can get those CSV files filled out with categories and just sort it by category. However, I already have the categories in my inventory sheets, so I'm going to show you how to sort it on my inventory sheet. It's the same principle no matter what you do. These are my SKU numbers. I'm just gonna highlight the whole thing all the way down to not where the totals are, but right to there. I'm going to click on data and I'm going to say sort it. And it's going to say, how do you want me to sort it? Well, I'm going to say sort it by column B, which is my categories. Okay, and I want it to go A to Z. And bingo, look here. All of a sudden, I know I have 22 anniversary items. My art, glass, and collectibles items are all together, and I'm looking right over here on the left-hand side. Okay, so I've simplified this sheet a bit, and all I can see are, well, the SKU numbers, but all I can see are the categories. And you can see I've already added up. I've got 22 of my 493 items are anniversary items. Now I'll just add up how many there are of each of my other categories. So moving ahead from that sheet, I sold 493 items in all, and 22 of them were anniversary items. And when I divide 22 by 493, that gives me 4.4%. So 4.4% of my total sales were anniversary items. And you simply just go through and figure this out for the rest of your items. As you can see, it's much easier if you already assign categories in your inventory sheets as you go, rather than juggling everything at the end of the year. Once you have the categories sorted, though, you can take the CSV one step further and sort sales by state, or actually by any other column on the CSV spreadsheet. Let me tell you, that view was eye-opening for me. Seeing everything lined up geographically made it immediately clear where my orders are actually coming from. California, Texas, and Florida, 3 states that are nowhere near each other, and 2 of them are about as far from my shipping bases as you can get. When I saw that on paper, it confirmed something I've suspected for a long time. Calculated shipping is the only thing that makes sense for my shop. If I offered free shipping, every order headed to California or Texas would quietly chip away at my margins. And because my sales are spread out across the entire country, there's no single shipping zone where I could safely absorb those extra costs. The data really backed up my strategy. So if you've ever wondered whether calculated shipping is worth it, this is a perfect example of how you can use your own data to make that call. Let the numbers guide you, not someone else's blanket advice. And just for fun, here is some other cool information I found out sorting my CSV report. The average cost to ship an item from my shop is $10.62. So the average cost for a customer is $14 since I use discounted shipping for my own cost. My top 3 months are August, July, and September outside of Q4. The average order value for my shop is $44.36, and the average item price is $34. I think that's just kind of interesting. Now, as we look at my top 5 categories for my shop this year, I'm considering the percent of overall sales for my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rankings. That doesn't necessarily correspond with the number of pieces I sold or the average price, but I'm just looking at the percent of our overall sales, and my number 5 category was fairy lamps. These are still selling, not as well as they did back in 2022, 2023. Nonetheless, this year I sold 25 fairy lamps. They made up 5.04% of my overall sales, and the average price of a fairy lamp I sold was $24.98. Category 4 surprised me. I sold 30 ceramic figurines this year, and the reason this made it into my top 5 categories at all was because a couple years ago I bought a large lot of Wade Whimsy little figurines like you would get in tea boxes for a very cheap price on Facebook Marketplace, and I've been selling them ever since. I've long since covered the cost of purchasing that lot, and now I sell them consistently in my shop for $6 a piece, but apparently they did add up because they made up 6.05% of my overall sales, along with some other ceramic figurines. And the average price of items in this category sold in my shop this year was $16.44. Category 3 did not surprise me at all. It's stemware, mostly crystal stemware, but some brass goblets and silver plate goblets are included in these numbers. I never know if I should list these as brass or as stemware when they're brass stemware, but I am now trying to put all of the stemware into this category. These pieces sometimes were sold in sets, sometimes they were singles, especially if they're Waterford higher end goblets. Then I sold those singly. But this year I did have 32 stemware sales, and that made up 6.45% of my overall total sales. And the average price of a stemware item that I sold, and remember most of these are in sets, it's not the singles, was $30.72. Category 2 also did not surprise me. Consistent seller in my shop are wedding figurines and wedding cake toppers, and this year I sold 45 of them. They made up 9.07% of my total sales, and the average item price in this category was $25.77. Before we get to my number 1 category for 2025, I want to share about a new digital product that I have in my vintage Etsy shop for vintage Etsy sellers. If you are building a vintage Etsy shop and you've ever thought there has to be an easier way to keep all of this organized, well, that's exactly why I created my Vintage Seller Printable Business Guide. It has more than 30 pages, and it is a system that walks you through the exact workflows that I use every day, every week, every month. Sourcing with intention, pricing for profit, organizing inventory, creating repeatable listing routines, and keeping shipping calm and stress-free. It's not a rigid planner. It's more like a gentle companion or a menu that you can open anytime you need clarity or direction. With your purchase, you will get 2 complete editions to be downloaded, a beautiful full-color digital version for your tablet and an ink-friendly printable black and white version if you like having checklists right beside your desk or photography area. Nothing is theoretical. It's all practical, step-by-step pages designed to save you time and help your shop feel lighter, steadier, and more consistent. If you're ready to simplify your systems and run your shop with more confidence, less guesswork. Just open the QR link here and click right to my shop. It's an instant download, and I truly think it will become one of your favorite tools in the new year. Okay, we have made it to my number one best-selling category for 2025. And this one surprised me. I thought it would be the wedding, but it's not. It was art glass and collectible glass pieces. Altogether, I sold 56 of these items. Now, these do not include drinkware like beverage glasses or barware or stemware, anything like that. It's all pieces like Fenton glass, glass vases, crackle glass, pitchers, anything like that, and it made up 11.29% of my sales. I was flabbergasted when I figured these numbers, but that just goes to show you, you really have to look at the data to get the truth. The average item piece was just $17.64, but 11.29% of my total business is a lot. So I guess I've been ignoring them for a while because I'm always looking for wedding figurines or looking for stemware, but I do need to keep my eyes open for art glass pieces because they do sell. And obviously the fairy lamps were in their own other category, so this category also does not include fairy lamps. So there are a few big picture takeaways from 2025 that I want to point out. Here's what this year's data really showed me. Your strongest categories aren't always the ones you expect. Art glass quietly became my number one seller this year. Steady, low maintenance, and incredibly consistent. Also, emotional categories matter. Wedding pieces stayed near the top all year long, and so did stemware, because buyers shop with feeling, not just with logic. High volume, mid-range categories deserve more attention. Stemware and fairy lamps weren't my flashiest categories, but together they made up over 10% of my total sales. Margins and storage matter just as much as sales volume. Ceramic figurines might not be high-ticket items, but they deliver some of my highest margins in the shop. When a category proves itself, give it room to breathe. These top 5 deserve prime shelf space, better lighting, and more listing time in 2026. If you want to start thinking more strategically in your own shop, here's where the data pointed me. Look for categories where small improvements go a long way. Art glass pieces, especially small bowls and pitchers, respond incredibly well to good photography. Lean into the power of emotion. Wedding items, anniversary pieces, pet memorial figurines sell because they mean something to the buyer. Never underestimate the small but mighty categories. Fairy lamps and unique figurines are quick, shippable, and reliable year-round. Your patterns will start telling you what to source next if you're paying attention. This is how I'm realizing that art glass deserves some more time from me in 2026. I would love to hear from you. Did you try sorting your CSV file? Did you find out your best-selling categories this year? Did anything surprise you when you looked at your numbers? Share it in the comments. I learn so much from what's working in your shops. Thanks so much for being here today.